The
New
Earth's
ocean is
continents
developing
used
in
to be one
Africa,
big
tearing
supercontinent
continent apart.
surrounded by an even bigger ocean. Over time, the supercontinent broke up and scattered to become the continents we see today. Another split seems to be happening in Africa, and scientists are paying attention. But what does this mean? Are we in danger? Is the world ending? Scientists made a scary discovery about Africa splitting in two. This video answers all of these questions and more. A huge crack in the Kenya Rift Valley made headlines around the world. Many experts and scientists have been trying to figure out what caused this strange and mysterious crack, which seems to have appeared overnight. This is not a new occurrence, but it is unusual. In southwest Kenya, a huge crack with a length of several kilometers appeared out of nowhere. The Nairobi-Narok Road recently collapsed because of the crack, which is still growing. The East African Rift's tectonic activity was linked with the crack's early stages. Gullies formed by erosion are one theory for why this happened. Questions still remain, however, about why the crack happened where it did and if it has any significance. Earth's lithosphere is made up of the crust and upper mantle. These plates don't stay still. Instead, they move around each other at different speeds while gliding over a viscous asthenosphere. Scientists aren't sure exactly what makes them move, but it's thought that forces at plate boundaries and convection currents in the asthenosphere are to blame. These pressures don't just make the plates move, they can also break them. One place where this is happening now is the East African Rift System. The East African Rift Valley stretches over 3,000 kilometers from the Gulf of Aden in the north to Zimbabwe in the south. It splits the African plate into two unequal parts called the Somali and Nubian plates. It may have formed as part of a larger rifting system, but it is also possible that the recent heavy rains in the area exposed the fracture and caused it to suddenly grow. A large area of volcanism, seismic activity, ground uplift, subsidence, and the development of fissures and cracks are all caused by the surface expression of rifting. But what causes rifting? Rifting happens when the lithosphere is stretched horizontally, making it thin. If this happens, signs of this process can be seen on the surface along the Rift Valley. Rifts, which are the first step of a continental breakup, can lead to the formation of a new ocean basin. The South Atlantic Ocean formed when South America and Africa broke apart about 138 million years ago. This is an example of a place on Earth where this has happened. Extensional forces strong enough to split the lithosphere are needed. The stresses are caused by the movement of the mantle below the rift. The lithosphere beneath this rift is being lifted higher by the formation of a large mantle plume, causing it to weaken due to the rise in temperature, stretch, and break by faulting. Geophysical studies have shown evidence of this unusually hot mantle plume, which is also called the African superswell. This superplume has been used to explain unusually high temperatures. Superplume is thought to be the source of the forces that caused the Rift Valley to form. The topography of rifts is very unique, with several depressions surrounded by higher ground and bounded by faults. From space, you can see that the East African system is made up of a series of aligned rift valleys that are separated by large bounding faults. These cracks don't all happen at once, but rather in a series. As the Nubian and Summer Lake plates continue to move apart, new faults, fissures, and cracks can form. This, along with renewed movement along old faults, can cause earthquakes. However, most earthquakes in East Africa are small and spread out over a large area. The East African Rift is unique because it lets us see many stages of rifting along its length. The rift is young in the south, where extension rates are low, faulting is widespread, and there aren't many earthquakes or volcanoes. However, as the Rift Valley bottom gets closer to the FR region, it becomes completely covered with volcanic rocks. This shows that the lithosphere has almost completely broken apart in this area. When this happens, magma will start to solidify in the gap left by the broken plates, making a new ocean. Over millions of years, a small shallow sea will start to separate the eastern edge of Africa from the rest of the continent. As the rifting continues, this sea will grow into a large island in the Indian Ocean, which may include parts of Ethiopia, Somalia, Kenya, and Tanzania. Plate tectonics, or East African rifting, is a good example of this. The rifting is a prolonged process that most of the time splits Africa without anyone even noticing. This sounds scary, but the timeline for that is very long-term. Scientists estimate that the rifting process in Africa will take tens of millions of years to move into the rift zone and eventually form a huge ocean that will split the continent in two. If you're shocked, don't worry. Neither you nor your children will be around to see it.